Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching. Welcome. Miles here. In this video, I want to talk about energy frequencies. This is a big topic, a big area I've been learning a lot about recently. I've been studying a lot of work. Neville Goddard, Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza. Great guy in America called Aaron Doherty. If you've not checked Aaron's work out, you should check him out. He's amazing. And one of the things I'm learning about energy is if right now, let's say right now you're in my community and you're a coach, or even if you're not a coach, and you are working to attract something. Let's say that's like, you know, more money or more clients or just something to do with your coaching business or anything really. Then here's a profound thing that I've been learning and I've observed within myself enough to know that there's a lot of truth and evidence behind this, what I'm about to say. Your ability or inability to attract what you want is ultimately determined by the energetic frequency that you're putting out into the world. So let me give an example. Like for years, I wanted to be a speaker on stage like Tony Robbins. Like I was desperate for it. Wasn't happening. For years, I wanted a girlfriend, like girl of my dreams, get married, have kids. Wasn't happening. Failed relationships, in jobs I didn't enjoy, like getting fired from jobs. Like it was just so the opposite of where I really wanted to be. But yeah, it was at a time where I was like thinking about it a lot. I was writing it down. I was doing all the stuff that like the gurus told me I should be doing, right? It wasn't happening. And then, by the way, this was not like an intellectual move that I made. This was like just because I think I just got fed up. I stopped trying. Like I stopped trying to get girlfriends. But not like as in like I'd watched some spiritual video that had told me that. At this point, I wasn't even really into that. I didn't believe in that stuff, right? I stopped trying because it just wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. I was getting nowhere near where I wanted to get in my career. I was getting nowhere near where I wanted to get in relationships. It just stopped happening. Anyway, I stopped focusing on it. I started focusing on myself. And within, I don't know how long it was, but in the grand scheme of life, it was a short period of time. I attracted, you know, my ideal partner in Sati, who's my wife, and we've been together 10 years and we've got two beautiful children, Sage and Zen. And then with the presenting thing, what was really interesting is I had this like ideal vision of like me on stage, like Tony Robbins. Like right now I'm parked, I'm having a Starbucks with a friend in a minute, and I'm parked at the NEC in Birmingham, and Tony ran an event here last year, which I crewed. It was really, really good. And so I really get good memories when I come here. But that was my dream, is to be like on stage like a Tony Robbins, right? Ultimately because I wanted the significance and the validation and the approval and all that stuff that comes with it. Interestingly, which is often, if that's the driving force, it definitely won't happen from my experience. Because the universe just doesn't seem to reward people that are like needy for things. It's fascinating, but I'm yet to find anybody who's had that not happen. So then I started like doing videos, but I don't know why I did, but I started doing videos probably mainly for significance. But anyway, I got into enjoying these videos, doing them daily. And within like 18 months, I had like a 500,000 views online and stuff. And then I started getting people, like a good friend of mine, who's a mentor in the world of public speaking, Andy Harrington, sent me a message saying, hey, I know somebody who's looking for like speakers. Would you be up for a conversation about like helping her with her events? And that then became a relationship. Not a relationship, but speaking for that person, right? Became a business relationship. And then that turned into another business relationship where I started speaking for a friend of mine, Greg Secker, on Forex. But then interestingly enough, those things eventually faded away because I got really attached to the outcomes. got really attached to the sales and the results, and unconsciously the neediness came back for like wanting people to validate me and all that kind of stuff. And looking back, it's really interesting because there's one of the things I heard someone say recently, I think it was Aaron Doherty, said like, what isn't meant for you, you won't attract. So like, I remember presenting like on Forex, like foreign exchange, and I was like pretending to be a trader. Like I'd wear these like fucking shiny shoes because one of the other presenters wore shiny shoes. I hated wearing shiny shoes. Just like poncy, like I just hated it. Like tuxedo shoes. Like I was like pretending that I was a trader, and yeah, I just hated it. And I remember people asking me questions about my trades, and I'd just make up some. Anyway, I hated it. It was so incongruent. And anyway, that didn't work long term, obviously, because it wasn't meant for me, and energetically, my frequency was not aligned to it. It was aligned enough to get it, but not enough to keep it, and that's a key thing I've learned as well. Is the energy to attract and the energy to keep are two different things. Because if you're trying to keep, that in and of itself is like a form of neediness. And then fast forward to 2019, I was doing okay with my coaching, but it wasn't still at the level that I really wanted. But I knew that if I repeated old patterns of like neediness, it was not going to happen. And so I got really clear, like on paper, about like, what do I want? Not for me, but for other people. Because there's a great coaching question I love, which is like, what do you want that would mean nothing about you? And when I first heard that question, I was like, what does that mean? I don't understand that question. What's the point of a goal that doesn't mean anything about me? Like if I'm not going to get something out of it, what's the point? But then when I really took a deeper look at that question, what I realized is it was basically saying, you know, what's a goal that you want to achieve that's about making a contribution and a difference in the world that you might not get praise and validation for, but you'll get an internal sense of knowing that you've fulfilled a greater good. And when I thought about that, I was like, I would want to train people to coach how I coach, because I know it's really good. I know I've got a really good model and a system and it works. And so that's what I did. Like went and got it accredited, created it, partnered up with somebody to help promote it, started doing paid advertising. And within like 18 months, we'd done like £500,000 in sales. We got a team, salespeople, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it was a really, really, really incredible time. And then lo and behold, here we are now at the time of doing this video, 2024. The team have all gone. The business partnership broke down. Ultimately because I am going through a new layer of awakening, which was that the recognition was that I was having the team was a little bit like ego. I have a team. I remember talking about like I have a team. Like, it was like so egoic, and I'm looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that's inevitable that was going to go away because it was ego. And I was also like, yeah, I've got this business that did like, even now, like I've just caught myself saying to you, we did £500,000 in 18 months. It feels like there's still some things there around like worthiness, but it feels like, it doesn't feel like, no, it does feel like I was showing off when I just said that. Interesting, right? And this is the beauty of like, this is why I'm doing these videos, and this is what I think is really important for you to know, especially if you're a coach, is to know that the level of honesty and vulnerability and authenticity that comes through you will really be the key to whether you attract clients. Because you may think that people want the perfect coach, the perfect persona that's got it all figured out, but they really don't. Like, as I said, £500,000 in 18 months, I felt myself going, oh, like that was a bit showy off ego, the way you said it. But then I could feel the need to then go, okay, I need to talk about that. And then I did talk about how I felt like I just kind of bragged on camera about that. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, I feel better now. Because you got like a kind of an ego bit, and then you got a vulnerability bit after. And now I'm even more conscious, because now I feel like by talking about it, it's like, and now I'm profound because I'm able to spot my patterns. It's just, it's an ongoing game. And one of my mentors, I once heard him say, like, the secret to life is realizing that you know nothing and that you're just trying to figure it all out. And there's nothing wrong with that. So like me doing this video with you right now, I'm just figuring life out. Like I don't know life. I'm just figuring it out. And I think that's a beautiful thing when you can get to that place and just admit that you're figuring it out. And the last thing I want to say is, like, as I've said in a few videos, if you've been watching these for a while, is like, if you do want to attract more, as you obviously do, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, then you've got to recognize that it ultimately starts with the energetic frequency that you're on. One of the best ways I've found to change the energetic frequency is things like meditation, because when you meditate, it can help you to get into a better frequency. Things like breath work, things like yoga, balancing of the chakras is a really, really powerful, important thing. And these are just things that are really common sense but uncommon in practice ways that you can get into better kind of energetic states. And I also think a big part of goes back to that question, which is, wanting what you want more for somebody else. Like, what do you want if it would mean nothing about you? That like presupposes that you go for goals that are contribution based and are not about you. Because what I've found is when I go for something that isn't ultimately for me, like I get my needs met. Like when I think about, I just want this for me, I don't get my needs met. When I think about wanting it because it serves a greater good, and like, for example, when we make sales, when I think about what that will do in terms of keeping the business going, reaching more people, paying for more advertising, it's not about what I'm getting, it's about I'm then going to repurpose, because all money is energy. I'm going to repurpose that money and redistribute it into serving a greater good, and on and on and on, right? So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed doing it, so I'm going to go meet my friend for a coffee. That's it from me. Peace out. See you next time. Goodbye. Love you.